Pisces Horoscope, the second half of July 2025, transformation, trials, and triumphs welcome, gentle dreamers of a zodiac, Pisces. As we step into the second half of July 2025, the cosmic tides begin to shift in deeply personal ways for you. This period is like a kaleidoscope, constantly changing, colorful, and requiring you to adapt with each new turn. If the first half of the month was about setting the scene, the latter half is the drama's turning point. There will be highs, lows, and revelations that challenge your flexibility, your patience, and your wisdom. Let's take a deep dive into the energies that surround you now, guided by the principles of Thai astrology, where the sun moves into the Mahachakra position and Mars joins the conversation, bringing heat and intensity to your fifth house of creativity, children, joy, and speculative investments. Picture this: you're standing in front of a river that has suddenly grown wider and more turbulent. You want to cross it, but the usual stepping stones are submerged. What do? This is the feeling many Pisces will encounter in the days to come. You must rely on your intuition, but also your ability to think practically and plan carefully. Let's begin with what will likely be the most noticeable theme: new experiences and emotional upheaval. As the Sun and Mars transit this dynamic part of your chart, you might find yourself overwhelmed with things to do. New projects, requests from friends or family, perhaps even sudden events involving children or younger people in your life. It's the kind of energy that asks you to say yes to things outside your comfort zone, whether that's learning something new, taking on a risky venture, or engaging in deep conversations about your future. For example, let's say you've been considering investing in a creative business, like starting your own Etsy store, launching a podcast, or even opening a small coffee shop with a friend. You've done the research, but haven't yet taken the leap. Around the third week of July, something might push you forward: an opportunity, a partner suggestion, or even a competitor entering the space. The stars say, act, but do it with eyes open and a firm hand on your budget. And speaking of money, yes, financial matters take center stage. You're likely to experience both gains and setbacks, sometimes simultaneously. You could receive a bonus, land a big freelance client, or sell something valuable. But just as quickly, you might face unexpected expenses: school fees, pet care, travel costs, or sudden maintenance work around the house. One Pisces woman I worked with in a previous cycle had a windfall. Her artwork was featured in a magazine, and she received a string of new commissions. She was thrilled, but just days later, her car broke down and her son needed emergency dental work. This is the kind of financial roller coaster that might emerge. So the key message here: build a cushion. Don't overspend just because a little extra money flows in. Plan for the what-ifs. There's also a subtle but powerful influence brewing in the background. Your home and family life are undergoing a shift. The changes may not be dramatic or loud. They could be more emotional, internal, or slow-moving. For some Pisces, there could be talks of moving, renovating, or helping a family member through a transition. Maybe a sibling moves back in temporarily, or you feel the urge to reconnect with a parent you've grown distant from. Emotionally, this could feel like a tug-of-war between your need for solitude and the demands of those around you. Pisces thrives in peaceful, dreamy waters, but this month, there will be storms to sail through. The advice: create sanctuary moments. Even if your environment is noisy, even if your schedule is packed, take 10 minutes a day to be completely still. Journal, meditate, sit with your favorite music. You'll be surprised at how much clarity returns when you make space for silence. Let's now talk about something a little more tender: relationships with those under your care, especially children, subordinates, or pets. These relationships come under sharp focus in the second half of July. You might be called upon to support someone emotionally, financially, or logistically. A child might struggle with school, a junior at work might make a mistake you have to fix, or your pet could need sudden care. It's tempting to feel overwhelmed, but this is also an opportunity for karmic growth. Sometimes being there for others, even when it's inconvenient, is how we grow spiritually. And in Thai astrology, acts of compassion and service done during challenging transits bring immense long-term blessings. That said, don't forget about you. Emotional exhaustion is a real risk. As Neptune, your modern ruler, continues to hover in Pisces, your empathetic nature is heightened. You absorb everyone's energy like a sponge. That's why you must be doubly mindful of boundaries. Just because someone you love is in crisis doesn't mean you have to fix everything for them. An example here, a Pisces man I once worked with felt drained every time his sister called to vent about her relationship. It was affecting his sleep, mood, and even work performance. With coaching, he learned to set gentle but firm boundaries, offering help, but only during specific times, and not at the expense of his own well-being. You may have to do the same this month. Now let's turn to something that could bring a spark of joy, creative breakthroughs, and passionate pursuits. For artists, musicians, writers, and all creatives, this is a golden time. The emotional intensity of July can feed your imagination in profound ways. If you've been stuck in a creative rut, prepare to be surprised. A vivid dream, a conversation with a stranger, or a powerful movie could unlock a flood of ideas. Even for those who don't consider themselves creative, there will be chances to think outside the box. Maybe you develop a fun new way to teach your kids, or come up with a clever solution to a work problem. Let yourself play. Let your inner child out. That's part of the medicine this month. Romantically, things are complex but not impossible. If you're in a relationship, there might be tension due to financial stress, parenting disagreements, or just plain exhaustion. The key: don't let minor conflicts fester. Open the door to honest communication early and often. If you're single, this period could bring someone new, possibly connected to work, travel, or a learning environment. But be careful not to romanticize too quickly. With dreamy Neptune in the mix, it's easy to see what you want to see instead of what's real. Around the end of the month, you may experience a turning point. Something you've been working on behind the scenes could finally yield results. Or a conversation you've been dreading turns out far better than expected. It's a little cosmic reward for all the inner work and resilience you've shown. But before we close, let's touch on a cautionary theme. Be mindful of accidents, impulsive decisions, and communication breakdowns. The influence of Mars can make tempers run hot, especially if you're sleep-deprived or juggling too much at once. Avoid making big decisions in haste. Avoid risky behavior on the road, in financial deals, or in confrontational moments. A good rule of thumb: if it feels rushed, emotionally charged, or too good to be true, pause. Reflect. Say Gadvije. You're not meant to solve everything in 1 week. The universe is unfolding at its own pace. Trust it. So, Pisces, to wrap it all up, the second half of July 2025 is a time of powerful growth, but it won't always be easy. You'll encounter emotional waves, surprising opportunities, and moments that test your inner strength. But you also have the gift of insight, intuition, and compassion, qualities that will serve you well through every challenge. Create moments of stillness. Trust your instincts. Say yes to growth, but no to burnout. And remember, you're not alone in any of this. The stars may stir the ocean, but they also light the way.